Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk. I just forgot what I was doing. Okay. I didn't put it on D&D. That's crazy. I am like, after this, I'm going to tell my mom we're going to happy hour early.
Yes.
Before happy hour starts, we're going to be there. Okay. Welcome to Let's Talk Motivation. And today, my guest is the wonderful Nancy Hernandez, who is the CEO, founder of, hold on, I need my glasses, NH Coaching. And welcome, Nancy. I'm so glad you're here. We've been on the calendar for a while to have this conversation.
Yes.
So I'm excited to share what Nancy does and what is NH Coaching.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I am loving all the interviews and all of the motivation. I think it's so needed in this world right now. NH Coaching is Nancy Hernandez Coaching, and I am the founder and the CEO, and I am on a mission to help event planners in connecting and being able to do what they love without burning out, and creating like this cultural shift from thinking that burnout is part of the job to sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So that is NH Coaching.
Nice. Well, were you an event planner before doing this?
I was.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I think there was a delay.
Uh-huh. So yes, to answer your question, I was an event planner. I ran an event planning company for 10 years. And so the mission that I have for NH Coaching is truly one from lived experience. And, I coach event planners who are incredible at their job, but they are definitely carrying the weight of what they do without really having enough care for themselves. And so I know that deeply after running my event planning company for 10 years.
Nice. And was that here in San Antonio?
It was, in the surrounding areas.
Nice. And it was your own business, or did you work for somebody else?
No, it was my own business. Started off as, small me doing it, and then started building a team. We did events all across San Antonio and the Hill Country.
Wow, that is amazing. I didn't know that. I knew you were an event planner, but I didn't know it was your own business. So you built that from the ground up, right?
Yes, from the ground up. Decided, before that, I was an LPC and hit some, became engaged and really fell in love with event planning. I loved all about it. It was problem solving, creativity, design, being around people, which I love so much. So I told my husband, we didn't have kids, that I was going to, go into event planning.
Nice. So what inspired you to go from event planning to now coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So I coach event planners who, after I ran my business, my behind the scenes was not so good. I helped event planners. I planned events, executed them. And, in that space, we are the ones that everyone looked to for any events. So carrying the pressure and the demands. You are in a role of serving others. And so if you can only imagine doing that for 10 years, my behind the scenes was running on fumes, going from an event to an event. You're trying to, anyone starting a business, you're trying to build it and scale it and all of that stuff. So my behind the scenes definitely was running on fumes, which then led me to burnout. And I had a fork in the road. It was either I continued on the same path, or I had to really choose my health. And so I decided to close it. So I closed it and then started reflecting. What happened? Oh, what did I do wrong? I went to school for counseling. I have a license in counseling. Like, how did I not know how to take care of myself? But when you run a business, your goals are about building that business and really creating systems for that business, that sometimes we forget to build a system for our whole self. And so I've just been realizing that there aren't a lot of resources for event planners to really help them identify you can have a great business, because the event planners that I coach are all high achieving.
Right.
And so there weren't a lot of resources to help them with their whole self.
I don't think I've ever met an event planner that is not high achieving and a perfectionist. And I think that's that industry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also this serving mentality where we have to serve others, we serve our clients. We have to be the one that's calm during the event when things come up and hiccups, and be there for our clients, that it kind of bleeds into our personal life of, kind of putting yourself unintentionally kind of on the back burner because you're wanting to serve. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong or that I was doing anything wrong. It just, you got into this rhythm, this pace of sprinting constantly, that really sitting back and taking care of yourself. It's, we can go get a manicure, but our brain is still running, right? And so it's really being able to connect how to care for yourself in those moments.
That is nice. And I like to watch your Instagrams because they're very calming to me, because you do a lot of those reminders. And I'm that person that will do everything else. And then I'll sit down and be like, oh, I wish I had gone on a walk, or I wish I had taken a moment for myself. So when I watch your Instagrams, I'm like, okay, Nancy's already reminding me I need to do something to calm and go do something for me. And also Christine also does that as well. She does those reminders to do a little self-care.
Yeah. And I think it's really this lived experience. And I think when we are on the go, we're very goal driven and all of that, that you forget to do that. But it's not only just like going to get a manicure, going to get a massage. It's really truly about the neuroscience behind it. A lot of event planners are in this reactive mode. So that part of their brain is on this constant cycle. And so when they don't have any time to pause and reflect, then the other area of their brain that helps with logic and decision making and really being able to rest is not there. So it's really about coaching event planners to have this internal groundedness about them, because life's going to happen. Things are going to unexpectedly come up. So I'm not saying you are never going to have those moments because you have a routine in your life. It's being able to understand what you need internally in order to keep those functions of your brain really activated to work well, so that you can become, this amazing event planner and continue to have a thriving business.
Yeah, that is true. And I think you already answered this question, but I think the second part is probably where we can get some more out. We can understand a little bit more. When you hit a low point, right? And you kind of told us about that in your event planning business. What mindset or practice helped you move forward? And I know you had said you were LPC licensed, but you had to do some reflection. So where did you, what piece helped get you there?
It was actually closing the business. That was the hardest, but yet most clarifying part in my life, because in that moment, you're building this pace. And a lot of us, I can probably raise your hand that how do you stop the pace? It's already going, right? And so when we have been running on this cycle, it's hard to pause and have that reflective moment. So I had to learn kind of the hard way and kind of unbury myself to feel like, what did I need in that moment? So that's what I do now, is I'm able to support these event planners and providing them tools that they can utilize. I mean, I have so many times, Serena, so many event planners, what they tell me is sitting still is so uncomfortable.
Yes.
And being able to go on vacation is hard. It's exciting for them, but it takes them most of their vacation to unwind and really recharge. And then they're coming back already to a full schedule of events and, life again. So they kind of get into that cycle. So it's really learning
Yeah.
how to do it on the daily.
And that's interesting because an event planner is a buffer. Like they are that person between when I look at like weddings, and I've never had an event planner that does most of the things. Like I planned my daughter's quinceañera,
Mm-hmm.
and I could just imagine, because I didn't have that buffer, and it got to a point at one, the person that was renting the facility, I really think he was crazy because he showed his true colors literally an hour before everyone arrived from the church. There was like some time from the church to the party. And he decided he didn't want a check or credit card. He wanted cash
Mm-hmm.
only. And he was going to shut off the power. I mean, that was I mean, yeah, he was certifiable crazy. Like, I started crying. I was about to have a freaking panic attack. And my husband was in the middle. He's like, okay, we got this. We'll figure this out. And luckily, my mother just happened to have some cash on hand. She dug up all her cash and we were able to pay him. But I was like, I couldn't even imagine if I was an event planner and this is going on, and you have to have that face, or like everything's under control. Everything's under control. Isn't that crazy?
That's a terrible experience that you had. Yeah. Definitely, hopefully not for everybody, but event planners are the ones that can walk into a room and find 3 things that need to be fixed, fix it without anyone even knowing. They just have this ability to do that. And so if you can imagine that their brain is wired to do that all the time, and they're not able to recharge, how that quickly gets them running on fumes. And so it's a beautiful thing, event planning. It's just, it has so much into it, the design and the creativity. And so it's fun to do it, but it will help you become even more powerful as an event planner if you're able to have a rhythm that really supports you.
That is very true. So what role does community play in your life or business?
If you asked me this 5 years ago before I closed my business, I would tell you it was non-existent, because running the business, we're busy, because the thing about event planning is our events are usually on the weekends, but then during the week, we're planning with our clients. We're going to vendor meetings, we're going to site visits, measuring things out, making sure flowers are good, centerpieces. So it's constant work to be able to do that. And so in that moment, the community really kind of dissolved because I didn't have the capacity to do that. And so it really wasn't until I started getting that and being able to feel internally grounded that I missed it. It was a part of me that I definitely needed. So I think we met at BSB, and I would tell you, if we were supposed to cross paths 5 years ago, I didn't have that capacity to be social. And so now community is so important to me because it is a part of the way that I connect with others and really maintain that internal groundness, because community is important. And I think with event planners, their community are their vendor teams and their clients. And so for them to be able to have the same schedule, they tend to lack those areas.
Yeah. So who is poured into you, and how has that shaped you, how you show up for others and yourself, right?
Over like my lifetime, who's poured into me? Or
well, since this journey, right? Because you did a pivot, you closed your business and started this new journey. So who's poured into you to help you get where you're at now?
Yeah, I would definitely say family. I'm my husband and my family have been there to support me, but it definitely has been the women I've met in networking at BSB. You're one of them, and Christine, and all the ladies there. I think that has been the most powerful, but I also have read a lot of books, listened to podcasts, and really seeing the journey of others and how they've overcome things in their life has been very inspirational to help me, figure out what went wrong. And, there wasn't anything wrong with me. I needed to, do things a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could tell your younger self
Mhm.
and give some advice to her, what would you tell her?
That it's okay to take care of yourself, that it's
Mm.
so important that it's not selfish, that putting yourself means that you can show up for others in such a better capacity. I think as a Lebanese woman, we are raised to, be the head of the household and to take care of the family, but be successful. And I think that has carried me into my life of taking care of yourself it's
Mhm.
important, it's valuable. Showing my daughters and having that legacy of it's okay to work hard, but it's also okay to rest hard as well, and being able to find a good rhythm and balance that's for you. But yeah, I think I would definitely tell my younger self that rest and taking care of yourself is not selfish.
It's not selfish. Yeah. And I think culturally, there's a lot of different cultures that have that that's what we teach our daughters, because my
Mhm.
mother comes from Mexico and my mom was very selfless. If she needed to do something, my dad needed something, she was there. If we needed something, she's still like that. And I have to tell her, take a nap, rest, relax. We're going to be good. Even I know she went on vacation this past weekend, and with my sister's mother-in-law, they went with her daughter to an event in Austin, and she was, I miss y'all. What are y'all doing? And I was like, hey, we're okay. We're just chilling. You have fun. Go listen to music. Go enjoy your time. We'll see you on Monday when you come back. But it was hard for her. I can still see it. Even she's about to be 80, and she's such a giver of herself and doesn't do a whole lot just for herself.
Mhm.
And I try to teach that to my daughter. I'm like, we can give of ourselves, but we also need to take care of ourselves. And it's real important. I totally agree. And especially in industries that are so high intense, like event planning.
Yeah, absolutely. There were so many times taking a break I feel guilty in doing that, and it just seems, saying it out loud now, it's like, what do you mean it's guilty? Like, you need to rest. And
Yes.
so, like, telling my husband I'm going to go in the room and lay down for, 15 minutes, I'm okay with it now. Whereas before I would keep pushing and pushing through and pushing through
Yes.
until my body was like, okay, you're sick now. Like, you have no other choice but to lay down.
Right. I think I had done another podcast and I talked about that. It's like you literally have to tell, like I have to tell myself, okay, is this where I need to push myself or do I need to pause myself? Because if I don't take a breath and ask myself that, is this a push or a pause? I won't do it because I'm constantly like, let's just go until we crash out. You fall on the couch. But
Yeah.
now, since I've turned 50, I take more time and I'm like, okay, Serena, are we pausing right now or are we pushing through? Because I think that's real important.
Yeah, and do you see a difference when you're able to do that?
Do I do? I see a huge difference in how much more I'm able to give of myself.
Mhm.
And even with my kids, because until I was my youngest just graduated high school. So now they're all I call them mini adults. And they still look for me and they're like, where are you at? And I'm like, I always joke with them. I was like, I'm in Vegas. Where do you think I'm at? And they're like, really? They track me now, which I think is interesting. Before I was constantly trying to troll my kids, and now they are always like, Mom, I see you're at the wine bar. Who are you with? And I'm like, so now I tell them, look, Mom's going to be busy. I'm not going to be available all day. I'm going to a conference. I'm going to be here. And now they're like, okay. Before they'd be like texting me, Mom, what do I do here? And where do I go there? For that constant, mom, I guess, mom hook that they needed. Now they know, oh, mom's busy, mom's working, mom's at her networking events. So boundaries was also a big deal. And my husband too, he's super supportive, but I had to be like, look, I'm only working on my insurance business today. I told you we have a real estate business, and I tell everybody I fired myself from that business, but like today, sometimes I get pulled back in, not by choice. And I tell them, I am not doing this right now. You're going to have to figure it out. And because if not, my brain, you can only put out so many fires, right?
Mhm.
And then you're an overload. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So let me ask you, they call these the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
One quote or mantra that keeps you going.
Oh, goodness. One mantra. Man, there's so many. And of course, I'm terrible at these rapid fires.
Or do you have a book around you?
I have lots of books. One of the things a trick that I do is to help me stay internally grounded. And I teach this in my Thrive method with the clients that I coach. I develop this framework for them.
Okay.
And it's being intentional with rest. And so I carry different books in my car, in my purse, in my work bag. So wherever I'm at, I can sit and just take a quick book and read. I think what's popping into my mind is You're Worthy from Jamie. And I loved her book. And of course, Mel Robbins kind of Let Them.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I always think about is I am worthy of rest and affirmations to be able to do that. And I think you said it earlier, like setting boundaries. Boundaries are rigid, but they're also strategic, and you can utilize them to really help you. So I don't know if that's not a quote and mantra, but those are kind of what replay in my head often.
Yeah, that's really good. And man, who would have thought that the words "let them" would be so important in our day and age? I'm like, how simple are they? And she just blew up with that. Mel Robbins is, I'm on my second book club with that. And the first time I took the book club was with Babe Support Babes, BSB. And then now I'm doing the book club with my neighborhood, which is interesting because it's two totally different paths. Like in our neighborhood, it's the Facebook page, which is a little dramatic. And one time I made the mistake of someone was complaining about something, and I said, just let them. And I got a response. No, Serena, not just let them. I was like, just let the kids do wheelies in the street. They're going to be okay. That was the big deal. Some people don't like it when the kids do wheelies on their bikes. And I'm like, they're going to be fine. We survived. But and then the first let them, when I did it with Babe Support Babes, was because at the time I had a friend that I'd known for many, many years. And literally from a week to the next week, she ghosted me. And I was like, what's going on? And things were happening in her life. I think she got a new boyfriend and she was just in a different space. And I was not needed in her life anymore, which is fine. We're grown women. You can do what you need to do. But I thought it was really weird because when I read the book the first time, that's where I was in my life, right? Trying to process that. And it helped me tremendously. And then here in the neighborhood with my neighbors on the drama of the Facebook. So I'm interested to see the third time I read it, what's going to be going on in my life.
Hopefully good.
Hopefully good. But it does help. It's like a good perspective, though, the let them theory. I think it's a good perspective. And my husband was listening to the audiobook because I have it on audio. And he's like, what's this let them? And I said, oh, it's a book I'm reading. It's a book club that I'm doing the first time. And he was listening to it. He goes, it's got a lot of good stuff, but man, it's girly. Like every example is drama. And I was like, yeah, we probably need a male version of the let them, but I think they already have that because my husband doesn't. Nothing. Everything rolls off the shoulders. He's like, me. No big deal. I don't know why they're so good at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What would you title the chapter of your book if you were writing a book and it was a chapter of a book of your life? What would this chapter title be?
Ooh, these are some good questions, Serena. I was not expecting these. Let's see. What would the chapter be? Redefining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's really redefining and kind of that cultural shift of how you don't have to, burnout is not a part of any job, whatever industry you're at, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you can have sustainability. So redefining kind of the way you do things and the way I do things. And what I used to think was, okay, like rest, you made you feel guilty. I think it's just redefining that. And I think it's creating this legacy for my daughters that, the way I did things before isn't the right way, and really just redefining that. So I think that's what this chapter is.
Nice. Okay, there you go. You got one chapter of your new book that you need to write.
Oh, goodness.
So tell me what you're working on right now. I think you had mentioned your Thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us what do event planners have to look forward to from you?
Yeah. So right now I'm working on coaching event planners. I do one-on-one coaching, and it is all based on this Thrive framework that I've created. And it's really just a short background. It's really taking inventory. I like to work with event planners, figuring out what their planning style is and really create a personalized experience for them. Because the way that I feel internally grounded may not be how you feel internally grounded, and just kind of what their natural rhythm is. I also offer a 90-minute intensive, which is, event planners are very busy. And so maybe one-on-one coaching, they can't allot for that, but they're really needing some help and guidance to creating a rhythm right before they go into busy season. And so in the Thrive, we do take inventory. Then I work on how to do boundaries. Boundaries are a big thing in the event industry because we have clients calling all hours of the night sometimes, and vendor boundaries. Maybe you're growing and scaling a team and now you have HR issues, and setting boundaries with your clients and really redefining kind of your values and how you do that. So it's a really intentional way to do that so that they're not sprinting, and they're able to recharge and really recharge so that their brain is able to strengthen those areas that need to be strengthened. And so what my coaching is based on, the Thrive method, is really about practical, simple, but they're backed by neuroscience. So it's really marrying my lived experience. My coaching is really about my lived experience and, the neuroscience behind how our brain works and how recharging really works for us and how to get to that internally grounded state. I can't hear you.
Never
There
mind.
you go.
Okay. I think that is so important. And the niche that you're in, I think, is extremely needed. Now, let me ask you, do you do this coaching virtually as well, or are you just local?
Oh, no, virtually. Most of my clients are not in the area and they're outside. So we do coaching through Zoom. And the really great thing about coaching is in between sessions, I don't want them to feel like they can't reach out. So I am available on Marco Polo. And what's really valuable about that is what they're doing is you need to practice it. It's being able to sit in that stillness. And, I had one client, she told me, don't make me sit and be quiet and journal. Like, don't make me do that. And now she journals like over the time. And so the Marco Polo is really about creating accountability. And if they're heading to a venue or they're processing an event that happened or a boundary situation, we process it during those Marco Polos. So they always have this continuous support during our 8-week sessions together.
That is really cool. And I definitely want to make sure we share your social media. So where can people find you?
Sure. I am on Instagram, and that's at Nancy Hernandez Coach. And then I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, but mostly Instagram.
My neighbor decided to have his yard cut. Can you hear that?
No, I can't.
Oh no, it's my neighbor. It's not my neighbor, it's me. The guy's in my backyard. Oh,
I can't hear it.
okay,
It's definitely a Monday, right?
It is. It is a Monday. Yeah. But we can always clip this up. We can always clip it. That's the nice thing about editing.
Yeah.
So,
and the other place they can find me, I forgot, is my website, nhcoaching.co.
nhcoaching.co. Perfect. And we'll make sure we put all that in the description so people can find you and click on your link. And I am so thankful for you visiting with us and sharing everything you do, because there's always a listener out there that is specifically for you and for your business. And I really believe sharing our message as women, business owners, is extremely important. And I really am thankful for you joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so excited to hear more of all of your interviews.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Check our podcast out. We are on Spotify, and now we're on Apple Podcast. So excited.
Very
and then of course we stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So I'm excited. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, and you have a great day.